Hello and welcome. In this unit, we're going to look at jealousy. What words can we learn about jealousy? What does the Bible say about it? So enjoy. In Deuteronomy 5:21, it says this: "You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, neither shall you desire your neighbor's house, his field, or his male servant, or his female servant, his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's." So the first word we come to is this word called covet. You shall not covet. And covet means you really want to have something your neighbor has. So use the example of your neighbor's wife. That's always a classic example. Don't really want something your neighbor has. This next word is going to be desire. Desire. Similar to covet, but a desire is a feeling. It's a strong feeling of wanting to have something. So they use the example of your neighbor's house. So I took a picture of this house in Korea. I like this house. So I shouldn't really desire my neighbor's house. And I remember when I walked by this house, I did kind of want this house. So it's saying, don't do that. So what this becomes is we take these two words, covet and desire. And what you have is, you shall not really want your neighbor's wife. Neither shall you have a strong feeling to have your neighbor's house. Good words of advice. So we have this verse, Ecclesiastes 4:4. So let me start by saying this book, Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes. And this says, "Then I saw all the labor and achievement that is the envy of a man's neighbor. This also is vanity and a striving after wind." The first word we have here is vanity, this word right here. So vanity is, look at me. I look great and I've done great things. That's vanity. Like you look at yourself in the mirror all the time. I look great. I've done great things. If we were to use this vanity, we would say, I saw all the labor and achievement, the envy of a man's neighbor. This also is looking at me and is striving after wind. Vanity. So then we have Galatians 5:26. "Let's not become conceited, provoking one another and envying one another." The first word we have here is this word conceited, 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 conceited. This is too proud of yourself. If you're conceited, I am just great. So conceited means too proud. This next word is provoking. So it's down here. Provoking, provoking, provoking. This is causing irritation or just causing trouble. So provoking one another, causing trouble with each other. Provoking. Now this word envy, envying one another, envy. Envy is you feel uncomfortable because you want what someone else has. You feel uncomfortable. And if we look back for a second, so if we look back a little bit, we see this word again here, envy, right? Feeling uncomfortable because you want what your neighbor has. So there it is again, envy. Put all this together. We have the word conceited, right? We have the word provoking, and we have this word envying. So now we could word it simpler and say, let's not become too proud of yourself, causing irritation to one another and feeling uncomfortable because you want what one another has. Conceited, provoking, and envying. James chapter 3, verse 13 says this: who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show by his good conduct that his deeds are done in gentleness of wisdom. So we have this first word here, good conduct, or just conduct, right? Your conduct is how you act or behave. So we say he shows good conduct, does well. I remember when I was in school, you could get a good conduct medal, which shows you acted correctly. You did a good job. But you could also have bad conduct, say bad, rude things and not act correctly. So this is the word conduct, conduct, conduct. So here we are, conduct. So we can now say, who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show by his good conduct. Or over here, let him show by how he acts and behaves, that his deeds are done in gentleness of wisdom, your good conduct. Verse 14 says this, James 3, verse 14. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, don't boast and don't lie against the truth. So, first of all, we have bitter. This word bitter, 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 bitter. This means you're angry or hurt over an unjust treatment, right? Something bad happened to you. You should have gotten that job, or you should have gotten that relationship. So you're angry or hurt over something that you felt was wrong. So bitter jealousy. So this next word is selfish ambition. Selfish ambition. Selfish ambition. So selfish means it's all about you, you. Ambition is what you want to accomplish. So what you want to accomplish is all about you. What you want is all about you. Selfish ambition. So this can now become, but if you have anger or hurt with jealousy, and what you want is all about you in your heart, don't boast and don't lie against the truth. If you're bitter, have selfish ambition. James 4, 6 says this, but he gives more grace. Therefore, it says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So the first word here is this word grace. It says it here and it says it here 2 times. Grace. Grace is undeserved favor. You get something good that you don't deserve. For instance, if you were very tall or very handsome or beautiful, right? You didn't deserve that, but It's a favor you get without working for it. You didn't deserve it. Now we have this word proud. Very common word in the Bible, proud. Proud, proud, proud. Proud is thinking too highly of yourself. Proud is too highly. I am so great. All right, so that's proud. And then we have this word humble. Another very common word in the scriptures, humble. Right? It's all throughout the Bible. Humble is thinking lowly of yourself. It doesn't mean you're just terrible and a horrible person. You just think lower of yourself. You're not as great as you think you are. Humble, 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 humble. So now we can start to put this together. We have the two graces. We have proud, and we have humble. Humble right there, humble. So this now becomes, but he gives more undeserved favor. Therefore, it says, God resists thinking too highly of yourself, but gives undeserved favor to thinking lowly of yourself. Interesting philosophy. And then we have Luke chapter 12, verse 24. Consider the ravens. They don't sow, they don't reap, they have no warehouse or barn, and God feeds them. How much more valuable are you than birds? Okay, so the word we have here is sow, but just for a second, this word ravens. Raven is just a kind of bird, right? Just a certain kind of bird. But we have this word sow. Sow, sow, sow. This simply means you plant seeds. Dig a little hole in the ground, put some seeds in so the plant can grow. So sow. And then we have this word reap. Reap, 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 reap. This means to gather in what you have grown. So you sowed the seed, grew into a plant. Now it's time to gather in that plant so you can eat it or sell it or make something with it. So this is the word reap. So if we put this together, have the word sow, we have the word reap. So we can now say, consider the ravens. They don't plant seeds. They don't gather what they have grown. And it goes on to say, but God feeds them. So they don't plant and they don't gather. And then Luke chapter 12, verse 25 said this, which of you by being anxious can add a cubit to his height? If then you aren't able to do even the least things, why are you anxious about the rest? So the first word we have here is this very strange word, cubit. Cubit, cubit, cubit. This is a really ancient form of measuring. And this is the length of your forearm, which comes out to be about 44 centimeters, 18 inches, foot and a half or so, cubit. And if you'll, the series later, we're going to talk about Noah's Ark. And this was made in cubits. Reminds me of an old comedian who went to Noah. I want you to build this ark, and it's supposed to be 400 cubits by 300 cubits. And the comedian says, right. And then he asks, what's a cubit? So even he didn't know what a cubit was. But now you do. You know what a cubit is. Length of the forearm, about 18 inches, 44 centimeters. Cubit. Okay, now we have this word anxious. Anxious, written in two different places here. So anxious, anxious, anxious. This is being nervous or worried about the future. Nervous or worried about the future. Anxious. All right, so now we have these words. We have the word anxious. We have the word anxious here again. We also have this word cubit. So now we can say, which of you, by being nervous or worried about the future, can add 44 centimeters to his height? If then you aren't able to do even the least things, why are you nervous or worried about the rest? Proverbs 23:17. Don't let your heart envy sinners, but rather fear Yahweh all day long. So now we have this word envy. Envy, envy, envy. You feel uncomfortable because you want what someone else has. A feeling of, I really gotta have it. So don't let your heart envy. So now we have this word fear. Fear, fear, fear. We usually think of fear as being scared. I'm so scared of something, like a bear or a lion. But this is different. This means to be in respect and awe of someone or something. Like, that's just incredible, right? So deep respect makes you want to maybe worship or say thank you to someone or something. So that's the way fear is used here. Envy and fear. Envy and fear. Don't let your heart feel uncomfortable because you want what sinners have, but rather be in respect and awe of Yahweh all day long. Envy and fear. In Proverbs 23:18, it says this, indeed, surely there is a future hope, and your hope will not be cut off. So we have this word hope said twice. So this is looking forward to something good happening. That's a hope. If you're in a bad situation, you look forward to it getting better. Or if you're in a good situation, you look forward to it being even better. Really nice word, hope. Hope and hope. Indeed, surely there is a future looking forward to something good, and your hope will not be cut off. great words. There is hope. We all need it. Proverbs 24, Proverbs 24, verse 2. You notice it says Proverbs 24, 1 to 2, because the original listening or reading, where I got this from, had both verses, but we only need this one verse. For their hearts plot violence, and their lips talk about mischief. So we have this word mischief, 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 mischief. This is doing bad things, doing bad. So mischief. For their hearts plot violence, and their lips talk about doing bad things, doing bad things. Mischief. Psalm 37, verse 7 said, "Rest in Yahweh and wait patiently for him. Don't fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who makes wicked plots happen." So we have this little word, fret, 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 fret. This means to be worried or anxious, to fret over something. I really need to get a job, or I really need to get into a relationship, or I really need to lose weight, or whatever it is. Worried about it or anxious about it. Prospers, 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 prospers. This is to get more money or power. Right? If you're prospering, you're getting better, more money or more power. And finally, we have this word wicked, 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 wicked. This means evil or immoral, bad, right? So wicked plots, evil or immoral things you're trying to do. Wicked. So if we put it all together, we have fret, we have prospers, and finally we have wicked, wicked. So don't be worried or anxious because of him who gets more money or power in his way, because of the man who makes evil or immoral plots happen. Don't worry about these things. Don't be anxious. Psalm 37:8 said, "Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Don't fret. It leads only to evil doing." Cease. Cease, cease, cease. This means stop doing it. Sometimes the police will say cease and desist. Stop doing what you're doing. Cease. This next word is forsake, 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 forsake. So this means abandon it. Leave it alone, or stop doing it. So when we study the Bible as ESL textbook, you'll see this. It uses the same concept twice, using different words. Cease, stop doing it. Forsake, stop doing it. Must be important. So then we have our little word again, fret. Same word again. Worried or anxious. Fret. Don't fret. All right. Cease, forsake, fret. So we can say, stop being angry and stop being wrathful. Wrathful just means really angry. Don't be worried or anxious. It leads only to evil doing. Just stop doing these things. So that seems to be all we have for this unit. I hope you learned a lot about jealousy, right? Is it good to be jealous? So a lot of these passages saying, don't worry, don't be anxious, don't fret, right? Stop doing these things. I hope you learned a lot about jealousy. I hope you learned a lot from the Bible today. And I hope you really are doing well in your English learning through the Bible as textbook series. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.